Good morning. This is Morning Coffee, and I am so grateful to be up, to be alive, to be clean, to be in prayer before I actually started the process of the day, to even have a form of meditation that has guided my mindset to this point. I'm just ever grateful for the goodness of a loving and caring God. Now, with that being said, I've been away for a while, and for those of you that watch, regularly, I often tell you why I'm away. I am often distracted. And when I become distracted, whether it be by work, whether it be by play, it takes over portals and things in my mind that renders me useless, so I don't come on and do morning coffees. And because they are not scripted, and I don't sit down and write out what I'm going to talk about in that particular day, I don't find the energy, the God-given energy to just come on and babble. So there have to be focused. So I thank God for allowing me to infuse the creative action of spirit that is within me. So today I want to talk about honoring one's self and recognizing the worth in yourself. So no matter how dark it gets, now darkness can be defined as a lot of different things. You could be, listen, I've been living with a terminal illness since 1991. To me, that's darkness. I've been living with illnesses even after that. And I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but the dialysis, or the kidney failure. The dialysis isn't the thing. That's what you put on to help cleanse them. The getting the transplant. Then after getting the transplant, having now to deal with diabetes, which is something I never dealt with, the high blood pressure, all this stuff that you don't even think about because while you're living life, it just never comes to you until it happens. And so for me, it had become a form of darkness. But what I've learned to recognize is that there is something inside of me that has taught me how to honor the God-given spirit in me, because if I look back at my life and all that it has endured, the traumatic grief, the watching my mother go through domestic violence, the being called sissy, fag, punk, and I'm giving it to you in a capsulated version. But all these dark moments and going to school and thinking that I'm one thing and trying to be that thing and can't be that thing, and not understanding in the third grade why I'm not and why I wasn't born that way, and all that kind of stuff. All that darkness and not having anybody to hold my hand during my child development stages, not having, with consistency, because along the way, God will put people in your life that will honor your spirit no matter how old you are. They won't come in with judgmental attitudes. They won't come in self-righteous. They won't come in with everything that's been shoulda, coulda on them, putting the shoulda, coulda on you. They won't do it because it's not in them to do it, and they are your God-given angels. They're alive, and they've helped you process through all of the trauma, the grief, through all of the pain, the misery, and then you get to this point of adulthood where we start to recognize that I need to own and honor my worth in a different type of way. So I'll start with relationships, which has been the most painful area of my life, whether it is friendship, family member stuff, or whether it is a romantic relationship and even sexual relationships, just relationships. So, in the interim of my thinking, what seems to stand out fundamentally for me in being broken the most, where I've had more of my severity of trauma, is when I go into relationships expecting something, and sometimes knowing that I'm not going to get it, but willing to do any and everything in me to get it, to get your approval, to get your validation, to get you to see me so that I'm no longer invisible, to get you to honor me so that all the things that I've given to you, all the things that I've sacrificed in the name of you, all the things that I've gone through in the name of you. All the things that I've suffered for in silence because of you. And then I expect the same to be given to me from you. And when you don't give it to me, I am rendered useless, abandoned, neglected, rejected, and rejection becomes the theme of my life. It is amazing that this seems to encapsulate everything way more that could send me into the valley of death than the illnesses, the physical illnesses that I really suffer from. And as you see, I said I started off in 1991 with all that, but it's 2018. Look at me. There wasn't a thing terminal about me. And I'll tell you what happened. It was a mindset. It was beginning to recognize that as long as I put my value into something that had no value, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about being real about that it has no value. Not that the person, place, or thing doesn't have value, but it has no value for me. See, there's a very different way of saying that. See, I couldn't say you ain't got no value because then that's me attacking the God-given creation of the other individual people, place, or thing. But when I say that has no value for me, it changes and it offers a miracle, a change in my thought processes. And then I begin to shift and can learn to unlearn, to not reignite my energy to you. Because now I have plenty of evidence to the fact that you're never going to be able to live up to my expectations, as I am never going to be able to live up to another's expectations. So when I become real about that, my life begins to move into motion, into ways that, I begin to integrate new ideas, new thought process, and I begin to understand that, boy, you were born with worth. Today, you can call me a faggot, punk, sissy, you can call me any of those names. And today, because of my worth, my value, and because of the way that I have been matriculated these days, I'm talking about spiritual matriculation, there is something that has now been endowed in me that says when you talk or say negative things about you, and just when I do the same, it is really an opportunity for me to pray for you. And rather than judge you, to manipulate the circumstances by simply putting a positive thought on you. And also internally knowing that you were supposed to call me that, and this is the deepness of spirit. You were supposed to call me that because if I choose, I can engage in conversation and we can have an interaction, and then you will begin to see that the person that you call that name is absolutely not what you professed in your mind, because a miracle has happened and you've been able to honor the same spirit that I honor within me. Can you follow me on that? That means sometimes you can meet people that you think are going to be your enemies, and because you sat back and didn't judge them or moralize or stereotype or go into self-pity mode, you were able to be used as an instrument of healing to encounter a situation, an assignment, if you will, where you two were brought together by no accident and something wonderful came out of it. So in learning to honor my worth, I have to be honest, and I have to be open-minded, and I have to be willing, and I got to be honest enough to own my stuff. This is the most difficult part for me, owning my stuff. When I got to own something that I know I should not have done, or even a thought, because remember, there are no neutral thoughts. If you think it, and you think that it just disappeared, that thought, because you didn't act on it that moment, I'm here to let you know via experience, dead wrong. There are no neutral thoughts. It is going to have a cause and an effect eventually. So if I'm secretly hiding something, a revenge that I want to get on someone, if I'm secretly hiding, or harboring or taking hostage a feeling that is negative and toxic, it could come out through my body. I could end up with illnesses just because I'm stressed out over something that I refuse to not stress over. So what I'm praying today is this. I'm thanking God for ownership, because in ownership, I can own it and then move towards acceptance of whatever that thing is, and then take it to the greatest source of strength. Because oftentimes, I take it to people, and those are the very people that I believe a loving God has led me to, who remind me to take it to our greatest source of strength. So I'm excited about life today. Listen, I went to court and I heard that song a long time ago. People would say, let Jesus be a lawyer for you in the courtroom. Well, I learned a hard lesson on that. Whether Jesus or whoever is going to be a lawyer for me in the courtroom, the judge is still going to have the final say. And that the lesson isn't so much about, using the metaphor of Jesus in a courtroom. It's taking on the mindset of Christ. Let this mind be in you that is also in me, meaning that whatever the verdict is, I was built to endure it. And if I pay attention, there's some lessons I can learn along the way that can let me be an instrument for other people that will be put in the same dilemma instead of reacting, to the nonsense that I created in the first place. So, altruistically, that means to me, Jesus being a lawyer in the courtroom, keep my mouth shut and allow the loving presence to guide me, and just to fall back and unlearn and relearn that there are things I don't need to react to anymore if I put my faith where I say my faith is. This is morning coffee. Good. Have a blessed day.